Sir Keir Starmer, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty.
You must be utterly exhausted and nearly on your knees. But not much. Quite a bruise. Yes. Anyway, you're here.
Yes. It's a very sort of quick changeover as well.
No, to say the least. And having to get to grips with everything straight away must be quite exhausting.
In this thought-provoking and shocking decision, the current political climate in the UK has witnessed a seismic shift following the Labour Party's controversial cancellation of local elections, a decision spearheaded by party leader Keir Starmer. This unprecedented move has ignited a wave of public dissent and widespread protests across the nation, fundamentally challenging the established principles of democracy in the UK. It would be best to stick around because what's happening right now in British politics is not just a scandal, it's a defining moment for the future of the nation. The current political landscape isn't just in crisis. It's on the path that will forever change the way we view governance, democracy and accountability in the UK. We are currently living through what can only be described as a defining moment in British politics.
Good evening. Are we living in a Keir Starmer dictatorship? Rumours were swirling that Labour was going to cancel the local elections in England.
Why aren't they all going ahead?
And I would say, even before the white paper has been published,
maybe there's
a
problem with the line. Why aren't they going ahead, Minister?
Well, at the moment, the assumption is that elections are going ahead. However, it's usual in a process of reorganisation that when a council makes a request for reorganisation, that if there are elections taking place to a council that it essentially won't exist within the term of those elections, then you hold off the elections and you elect to a shadow body, and the shadow body basically is a form of the new councils that will follow.
And now we appear to have confirmation on this. Some local elections due to take place in May next year might now be delayed until 2027. Labour says that they want to postpone them because they're restructuring the councils. Some might not exist in a couple of years' time. But this excuse doesn't really wash. So these local elections were seen as a...
What we are witnessing is something far beyond a typical political disagreement. This is an unprecedented crisis that could alter the very structure of British democracy. Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, has made a move so bold, so controversial, it has sent shockwaves throughout the entire nation. Labour has cancelled local elections. Yes, you heard that right. Local elections, which are the bedrock of British democracy, have been wiped off the table by the very party that claims to champion the voice of the people. Instead of allowing the people of Britain to have their democratic say, Starmer's government has made a decision that many are calling a blatant attack on democracy. This is not just a political misstep, it is a decision that undermines the very core of democratic principles. Labour's action has raised alarms not only among the public, but also within the royal family itself.
Happens. And it is my pleasure to bring from His Majesty the King a letter. He sends his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to you?
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
I will do.
I've got to tell him what your reaction is, so I need to know. I need to know.
He is a great gentleman, a great, great gentleman.
King Charles III, the symbolic guardian of Britain's democratic values, is reportedly furious about the cancellation of local elections. This is not a small matter. Even people who have historically kept their distance from politics are now deeply disturbed by what is unfolding. Nigel Farage, who has been vocal about his concerns regarding Labour's governance, has warned that Starmer's Labour Party is no longer acting like a government, it's behaving like a dictatorship. The British people are looking at this with growing concern, wondering if the fundamental rights they once took for granted are being slowly stripped away. To truly understand the magnitude of this scandal, we need to step back and recognise just how significant local elections are in Britain. Local elections are the cornerstone of British democracy. They provide ordinary citizens with the chance to elect their local representatives, mayors and councils who make vital decisions on issues that directly impact everyday life, from education and public transportation to housing, healthcare and social services.
There's no longer time to give this Prime Minister the benefit of the doubt. The government's plan simply isn't working. Another course is needed. That's why I'm calling for a 2 to 3 week circuit break in England, in line with SAGE's recommendation. A temporary set of clear and effective restrictions designed to get the R rate down and reverse the trend of infections and hospital admissions. This would not mean schools closing, but if it happens imminently, it can be timed to run across half-term to minimise disruption. But a circuit break would require significant sacrifices across the country. It would mean only essential work and travel, that everyone who can work from home should do so. Non-essential offices should be closed.
Local elections determine how public money is spent and what policies will govern each part of the country. In addition, local councils are the beating heart of British governance. They have the power to shape the lives of citizens in profound ways. These elections provide voters with an essential opportunity to hold politicians to account. They are the checks and balances in the system, ensuring that elected officials remain responsive to the needs and desires of their constituents. So, cancelling these elections, as Labour has done, is a direct attack on this foundational process. When questioned about the situation, Labour has tried to justify its actions by citing what they call administrative reasons and political restructuring. On the surface, this may seem like a reasonable explanation, but the truth is far more sinister. This is not about administrative challenges. It is about the fact that Labour is terrified.
Throughout my life, music has meant a great deal to me. It has that remarkable ability to bring happy memories, comfort us in times of sadness, and to take us to distant places. But perhaps, above all, it can lift our spirits to such a degree, and all the more so when it brings us together in celebration. In other words, it brings us joy. So this is what I particularly wanted to share with you, songs which have brought me joy. This seemed such an interesting and innovative way to celebrate this year's Commonwealth Day. Thank you for listening. I wish you all...
Labour's internal polling has shown that their support is rapidly crumbling as public dissatisfaction with Labour's performance has been growing for months. Now, with the Reform UK led by Nigel Farage gaining significant momentum, the Labour Party finds itself facing a political nightmare. They know that if local elections were allowed to proceed, they would likely suffer devastating losses. The public is simply fed up with high taxes, out-of-control immigration and a cost of living crisis that shows no sign of improving. Labour's failure to address these key issues has made them vulnerable, and rather than face the consequences, they have simply erased the election together. This decision is not just about avoiding defeat in one set of elections, it is a direct attack on democracy itself. If Labour believes that they cannot win fair and free elections, their solution is to improve their policies or win back the trust of the British public. But instead, they have chosen the most authoritarian option available, which is shutting down the democratic process altogether. Amid this political firestorm, one voice is standing up. King Charles III, historically, the British monarchy has stayed out of politics. The King's role has always been symbolic, focused on representing the nation and upholding Britain's traditions. But what happens when a government becomes so reckless and undemocratic that even the King feels the need to intervene? Insiders close to Buckingham Palace have revealed that King Charles III is deeply angered by Labour's decision. He views the cancellation of local elections as a direct threat to Britain's democratic values. Values that the monarchy has been a symbol of for centuries. If King Charles takes further action, it could spark one of the biggest constitutional crises in modern British history.
After 13 years of economic failure across the country, people are paying the price of uncosted, reckless, damaging decisions by the Tory party. And even now, as mortgages go through the roof, the Prime Minister is planning to wave through honours and peerages for those who cause misery for millions. What does it say about this government that while working people are worrying about mortgage hike, paying the bills, even repositions, the Tory party is rewarding those guilty of economic vandalism?
Mr. Speaker, no amount of personal attacks and petty point scoring can disguise the fact that the honourable gentleman does not have a plan for this country, Mr. Speaker. He comes here every week to make the same petty points. We are getting on and delivering for this country. Yes, Mr. Speaker, inflation is a challenge. That's why we are on track to keep reducing it. We are reducing waiting lists. We are stopping the boats, all while he is focused on the past, focused on the politics. It's all talk, whereas from this government and from this Prime Minister, we deliver for the country.
Keir Starmer's leadership has not been silent about the King's reaction. But this story doesn't end with the cancellation of elections. Starmer is also launching an assault on the monarchy itself. His Labour Party has proposed radical reforms to dismantle the monarchy's influence. These reforms would strip away some of the Crown's ceremonial roles, limit the King's power to approve laws and decisions, and even alter the rules of succession to reduce the monarchy's influence over British politics.
But, Mr. Speaker, for the 14th year in a row, the government passed it up, severed its relationship with Britain's future and gave up on the national interest. Because what this address shows with ever greater clarity is that the only fight left in them is the fight for their own skin. A government that has given up, dragging Britain down with them ever more steadily towards decline. A day when it became crystal clear that the change Britain needs is from Tory decline to Labour renewal.
Let us call the Prime Minister.
Labour argued that these changes were necessary to modernise Britain, but critics see this as an attempt to weaken the monarchy and consolidate power within the Labour Party. For many, this isn't just about reforming a few outdated systems, it's about erasing a key part of British identity. The monarchy has long been a symbol of Britain's stability, a reminder of the country's history and a figure that represents continuity in times of change. But now, with Labour pushing forward with these proposals, it's clear that they are aiming to break the tradition of British governance.
The vast majority of us, the late Queen has been simply the Queen, the only Queen, above all else, our Queen. As we mourn her loss, we should also treasure her life, our longest serving and greatest ever monarch. Above the clashes of politics, she stood not for what the nation fought over, but what it agreed upon.
It is obvious that Starmer's reforms would weaken the monarchy and ensure that Labour could exert more control over the country's future. However, as Labour moves forward with its increasingly authoritarian policies, the King has been leading the voice of resistance against them. King Charles III is making it clear that Labour is now acting like a dictatorship. In a powerful speech, he warned the public that if Labour can cancel local elections today, nothing is stopping them from cancelling national elections tomorrow. The King has been relentless in calling out Labour for suppressing democracy and undermining the will of the British people. The British monarchy's calls have resonated deeply with the public. Particularly with Reform UK's growing base of supporters, people are rallying around King Charles III's message. What is the King's message? Labour has gone too far and it's time for the British people to take a stand. As this crisis continues to unfold, the question on everyone's mind is, what's next for Britain? Will the British people stand by and allow Labour to continue its undemocratic rule, or will they rise and demand accountability and ensure that their voices are heard? The future of the UK is hanging in the balance, and the decisions made over the next few months will shape the country's political landscape for years to come. While the monarch doesn't wield direct political power, the Crown's influence is not to be underestimated. The monarchy is seen by many as the ultimate guardian of British democracy, and, in times of crisis, it has often been the monarch who steps forward to preserve stability. If you found this political discussion interesting, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating political discussions.